All right, guys, it's happening. Get prepared to watch every single mainstream media outlet basically praise Biden for stuff that he hasn't actually done, and expect all of us to forget that they reamed Trump for the last 4 years for literally everything that Trump did or acted like Trump wasn't responsible for anything good happening. Of course, then they're going to simultaneously claim that Democrats or Joe Biden is going to be responsible for everything good that happens and not responsible for anything bad that happens in the next 4 years, assuming that Joe Biden actually gets inaugurated as president come January. So, welcome back to Engineering Major, Philosophy Minor, guys. EMPM is a spot where you can get a working aerospace engineer's opinions on topics pertaining to engineering, philosophy, politics, and various other social issues. I've been a little bit MIA for the past couple weeks. The news cycle has been rapidly evolving, and I don't mean to make excuses for that, but I have been on a number of business trips. Of course, gyms have been shutting down or closing early, so it's been difficult to manage that with work. Combine that with just a bunch of other random stuff going on in my life. I haven't had a minute to sit down and make a video, but now that it is Thanksgiving weekend, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I hope you guys celebrated it with friends and family and all that good stuff, and made some good memories. Lived your life, the way you want to live it, not the way the government wants you to. But anyway, I am back for now, and we are going to talk about this article that I read. So I made a video earlier on the channel, and it doesn't have any views. So, no surprise there if no one saw it. But it was with regards to a headline that came out regarding Joe Biden and the stock market. And this was, of course, right when I think Pfizer announced their vaccine data. And here we're going to read another article, and we're actually going to look at when all these press releases were for all the awesome vaccine news that has been coming out, and we'll compare that to how the market's been doing, as well as some other news, and we'll just kind of talk about all of it and the politics of it, etc. So this article is entitled "How Biden's November Stock Market Surge Compares to Those of Recent Presidents-Elect." So right off the bat, the headline is implying that the stock market is surging simply because Biden did something. Now, remember, for the last 4 years, when the stock market was doing really well, everyone in the mainstream media was basically saying how none of it could possibly be due to Trump, and it's just because the economy is doing what it does, right? Well, now they're going to try and act like we don't remember what happened with all those headlines. They're going to try and act like a president who decreased taxes, decreased regulation, decreased burden on businesses, and put in place helpful trade deals, as well as eliminating financial burdens that the U.S. has to other countries in terms of like the Paris Climate Accords and other things of that nature. They're going to act like none of that could have any effect on the economy at all, but Joe Biden, who's not even president yet, is responsible for a stock market surge. So we're going to go ahead and make some arguments, give you guys some food for thought as to why I really am skeptical as whether or not this is true. President-elect Joe Biden has watched the stock market surge as he prepares to take power next year. So right off the bat, they're just saying Joe Biden sat back and watched. The rally appears to be driven largely by the spate of positive coronavirus vaccine news, but has nevertheless been helped by some of Biden's initial moves as president-elect. So right off the bat, duh, right? Of course the market is going to surge because of the vaccine news. Why? Because with the vaccine news, companies think that they can open up sooner rather than later, and no lockdowns, right? How come this isn't the headline, The headline should be positive coronavirus vaccine news fuels market surge. Biden shouldn't even be mentioned. But of course, the entire mainstream media establishment caters to making Democrats look good and making conservatives look like crap. So they have to put something in there about Joe Biden. The Dow Jones Industrial Average broke 30,000 for the first time one day after news broke that the president-elect had picked Janet Yellen as his Treasury Secretary. Well, guess what also happened right at that same time? That's when AstraZeneca announced that its vaccine had good results and passed whatever phase trials. And of course, they're going to try and attribute Janet Yellen or something that President Biden did, which isn't even set in stone. Somehow they're going to say that that influenced the market. I'm going to go ahead and call BS on that. I don't believe that for 1 second. We'll look at the market data here in a minute. So let's talk about Janet Yellen for a second. So I did a quick Wikipedia search, and apparently Janet Yellen is a big fan of Keynesian economics. Now, conveniently, I have read a little bit about Keynesian economics both in college when I took economics classes, but also because it's discussed in Milton Friedman's book that I'm reading right now, Free to Choose. Now, one of the big tenets of Keynesian philosophy is that government intervention is completely necessary in order to stabilize the market. It surprises me that somebody who is considered to be a Keynesian economist would be good news for the market, because all Keynesian economics means is that it's just going to take all the taxpayers' money and just shuffle it around with a giant command style bureaucracy in order to give certain companies advantages over other companies based on just random government preference, which has almost always resulted in ruin, basically prolonging the Great Depression, resulting in financial crisis of 2008. And of course, government command style intervention is responsible directly for the huge economic downturn that we had earlier in 2020, as its response to coronavirus was absolutely unnecessary and excessive. Let's continue. Mohammed El Arian, the president of Queen's College University of Cambridge, attributed the booming market this month mostly to the positive vaccine news. Okay, but he also noted that we've had clarity of our political transition. We've had clarity about appointments during an appearance Friday on Yahoo Finance. Okay, so let's just take a moment to talk about clarity of the political transition. This might be important if we weren't in a state of the country where Democrats are basically trying to shut everything down, and the only strategy that Democrats have is forcing everybody to wear masks and then having lockdowns. You're trying to tell me that clarity of the political transition, by the way, a transition to, look at this, a transition to another 4 to 6 week lockdown is supposed to make the markets surge? We're talking about Joe Biden, a guy who said that he wants to end oil. Now, that may have been a little bit of a slip of the tongue, but for the past 4 years, we've been hypercritical of literally every single thing that Trump says. So now, Democrats, it's your turn. We get to be hypercritical of literally every single thing the Democrats say. You're telling me that the guy who wants to institute giant government command style plans over the energy sector, over the healthcare sector, over the environmental sector, and over the academic sector with forgiveness of student loans, you're telling me that that is going to be good for the economy? Give me a break. Oh, look at this. President Trump, of course, incorrectly predicted that the markets would crash if Biden won. Well, Biden hasn't technically won yet, first off. And secondly, the media was predicting that literally the entire country was going to descend into absolute anarchy and absence of democracy and Hitlerian Nazi-esque style rule if Trump went in office for 4 years. And what's happened now? Okay, he's contesting an election and he'll probably lose his court cases and then he'll leave. Trump also often said that a president's record should be judged based on the stock market following Election Day, not Inauguration Day. Okay, fair point. The stock market did grow. The Dow, at least, did grow following Election Day. Was President Trump probably stupid to say this? Yes. Do we know that President Trump says stupid things? Of course. Trump typically will say things that fall into 3 categories. One is he'll say something stupid which is stupid and he deserves to be called on it and he gets called on it. Then he'll say something stupid that when put in context isn't as stupid as it sounds, but typically he's just saying the first thing that comes to mind and honestly being Well, being completely honest about it, which is good in some ways, but also kind of shoots himself in the foot with a lot of things. And then he'll say things that are like pretty much right on the money, and people just don't like to hear it because it's the truth. Um, but no matter what he says, the media has categorized those all as he said something stupid and it needs to be condemned for it no matter what. And it's always stupid and it can't ever be good. So that's what the media has been doing. The difference here with Biden is that now the media is saying that like literally everything Biden plans to do, like he hasn't actually done yet, is like a godsend. I mean, look at these headlines here. No pardon can save Trump's terrible Thanksgiving. Then this one. Biden admin COVID policy seen as more supportive for state efforts. Well, yeah, I mean, we just looked at the lockdown title. So if you're all about state efforts by Andrew Cuomo, hypocrite, and Gavin Newsom, hypocrite, who have completely destroyed their states, Gretchen Whitmer, hypocrite, whoever the governor of Oregon is, hypocrite, right? Yeah, I mean, if you're more supportive of like massive lockdowns and complete destruction of industry, financial hardship, job loss, and like you're supposed to tell me that that's a good thing, and then I'm going to read a headline that's saying Biden is responsible for the surge in the market. Bullshit. I mean, what are you guys talking about? Listen to this statement. President Trump liked to say that the stock market surged when he became president. It did, okay? So what? But his victory actually initially rattled markets. Okay, this set of sentences just contradicts itself. So obviously the media is trying to swing everybody into Biden, like good favor of Joe Biden and bad of President Trump. Let's actually look at what happened with the Dow Jones. So here's the Dow from the period of September 22nd all the way to present. That's this dot right here. So what happens? We're coming up to Halloween and everyone's freaking out about Halloween and telling you can't trick or treat and schools are reclosing and the Dow goes down, it goes down, it goes down. Then we get to November and we start creeping up again. We're nearing the election and we have the election and there's a nice little bump right there. Although keep in mind that election night, 11/3, it looked like Trump was probably going to win even though everybody was calling states for Biden ahead of time. We get more clarity on the election, stock market jumps up again, and let's say because there's been so much weird crap surrounding this election that 11/5 is really when, people were saying that Joe Biden is likely to be the president. This is when the media was projecting that Joe Biden's going to win the presidency. Market's somewhat stable. What happens here on October 9th? Boom, blast off. Oh my God, is that because Joe Biden got elected? Pfizer and BioNTech announced vaccine candidate against COVID-19 achieved success in first interim analysis. From phase 3 study, November 9th, 6:45 a.m. Boom, jump. What was the next one? Moderna. November 16th, Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine candidate meets its primary efficacy endpoint. Phase 3 study. What happened on the 16th? 13th, 16th. Boom, another several points. What's the next one? This was AstraZeneca. AZD 1222 vaccine met primary efficacy endpoint. 23rd of November. 23rd. Boom, stock market goes up. And you guys want to come in here and say that it's because of Biden and because of his his little pick of somebody who likes big government command style economy BS. Get out of here. It's just not true. At least, let me say this. I think that there's pretty compelling evidence that Joe Biden has nothing to do with the way the market's going right now. Look at this. Look at all these airline stocks. Southwest, November 9th, jump. Delta, November 9th, jump. American Airlines, November 9th, jump. All that lines up with the vaccine candidate. So you're trying to tell me that the guy who wanted to stop people from trick-or-treating, and all the Democrats who wanted to shut down Thanksgiving, and Joe Biden talking about another lockdown, and he's saying that he's not going to lock down the country, he's going to lock down the virus, whatever that means. And then his aide comes out and says they want a 4 to 6 week lockdown, and all the Democrat mayors across the country start flipping their shit and shutting everything down again. And you're trying to tell me that that style is good for the economy. Just no, it doesn't work. Now, let's take a look actually at what happened under President Trump. So here's the Dow Jones from a long time ago, 1985 all the way up to today. So let's go ahead and look at January 2008 when Obama got elected. Okay, Obama gets elected. There's a financial crisis. We're at 12,650. So that's something you better deal with, Obama. Fair enough. Let's go to 1/1/2012. So 12,632. So it was 12,650, 12,632. So basically, under Obama's first term, the market just recovered from a downturn. Now, let's go ahead and look at from his second term. So we're at 12,632, and then we go to 1/2016. Where are we here? 1/2016. 16,466. All right. So in Obama's second term, he goes from 16,632 to 16,466. Let's just say that's about a 4,000 point increase here of the Dow. Now let's look at what happened over President Trump's first term. 16,466, right before the government started doing excessive stuff, 28,538, almost double, bro, almost double. Then we have a big market crash due to excessive government intervention. I will not say that COVID is what caused the crash. It's state governments deciding that they just wanted to shut down everything. But then look at this. Boom, amazing recovery all the way up to 29,910 today. So President Trump from 16,466 up to 29,910. I rest my case with a big economic downturn in the last year as a result of excessive government action that Trump didn't agree with. I rest my case. So, Yahoo Finance, you can say that Biden's responsible for all this stock market stuff. I straight up don't believe you. And I really hope that for you guys watching, I hope that you guys don't believe this either. I hope that you guys go in, you look at the data, you think about it a little bit, you think about what I'm saying. You might come out of it saying, hey, Alex is completely full of it and whatever. But the point is that we can't let the media do this. In this country, we have to be able to hold whoever the president is to the same exact standard as we hold every other president. And that means being, and based on how people have been treating President Trump over the last 4 years, that means being absolutely hypercritical about every single little thing that they do or say, no matter what. So Joe Biden, that's how you're going to get treated by at least us on the conservative side of things. And Yahoo Finance, thank you guys for providing stock updates, tickers for me every day. But your news section, complete BS in my opinion. Need to rewrite it, need to redo headlines, because Biden is not responsible for the stock market surge. He's not even president yet. So get over yourselves. I want to show you guys one last thing, actually, before I conclude. This video is getting too long, but one last thing. So we just talked about how under President Trump's first term, he basically almost doubled the Dow, whereas Obama maybe only increased by about let's say 30% ish. But look at down here. So here's the article that we were just reading, and then right next to that, this week in Trumponomics, grasping at stocks. So basically, they're saying that Trump's take, these headlines are implying that Trump's take on the economy is just a big joke, and Joe Biden is responsible for stock market surges. And then we go in and look at the actual data, and we see that under President Trump, the market has grown absolutely exponentially. And by the way, if we would just open up, it would grow exponentially even more. So if Biden really wanted to do something to affect the markets, what he would do is he would come out tomorrow and he would say, guys, we've got a lot of vaccines. There's a lot of COVID cases. We're opening up. We need to get the economy going again. We have plenty of data now. We have plenty of therapeutics. There's going to be vaccines coming soon. We can handle this. The hospital system is going to go through a tough time, and we're going to get through it. And life is hard sometimes. So man up, and let's just do it. Right? If he did that tomorrow and he forced Gavin Newsom to stop his totalitarian control of the People's Republic of California, then maybe I would have a little bit more respect for Biden, and also maybe I would believe some of these headlines a little bit more strongly. But as it stands, for the past 4 years, the media has completely worked to tear Trump down, while at the same time basically bolstering Democrats for doing things that basically wreck everything. So yeah, that's going to conclude this one, guys. I'm going to try to get a couple other videos out because there's another cultural thing that I want to talk to you guys about surrounding coronavirus, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Yeah, hopefully sometime this weekend. All right, peace.